I'm Anastasia Chatzka. I'm a fashion designer, pattern maker, and sewing educator, and I'm so happy you're here sewing along with me today. Welcome to Sewing Anastasia, and today we are going to put in an invisible zipper with an invisible zipper foot. If you do not have this foot, it is awesome and you're going to want to pick one up. So follow along and I'm going to show you exactly how to use the invisible zipper foot to put in a perfect invisible zipper. If you're not already a subscriber to Sewing Anastasia, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell because I have so many sewing tutorials that come out every single week. I love sewing so much. And if you're already a follower, thank you so much for following along. And don't forget, I teach sewing classes in my design studio in Chicago, Illinois, and virtually. So make sure you check those out at sewinganastasia.com. The invisible zipper is my favorite because you can make it look invisible. You literally sew it in the seam and then all you see at the top is the little pull tab. So I'm going to be demoing it on these two pieces of wool fabric down here. We're going to pretend this is the center back of a skirt. And when I'm done, you are not going to see this bright orange zipper in this gray skirt because it is going to be that invisible. And the really great tool that's going to help us is the invisible zipper foot. This here is the invisible zipper foot. It has one little hole at the very front of it, so that way your needle goes into it. And then if we flip it over, there are two grooves on the back of it, one for the right of the zipper and one for the left of the zipper. And so the teeth of the zipper are going to glide along that groove. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. I'm going to go over exactly what we're going to do and show you how to attach that invisible zipper to the fabric. So follow along. With the zipper right side face up, you want to unzip it and flip it over to one of the sides. You want to make sure that your zipper tape is always at the edge of your fabric and the teeth are towards the inside of your fabric. And then when we end up putting the zipper foot onto the teeth, it's going to glide right over it, but we're also going to need to move our needle position, and I also like to pull open my teeth just a little bit while I do this to ensure that I'm getting a perfect invisible zipper. After we do that side, we are going to take the whole piece and we are going to flip it over to the other side and sew up the other side of the invisible zipper. And then we have this hole at the bottom here, so we're going to have to sew up the bottom of the skirt as well, and we'll be using the all-purpose zipper foot for that. So let's go over to the sewing machine and sew this step by step, and I'm going to give you all the little pointers and details you need to make a perfect invisible zipper. First thing we need to do is put our foot on. So for this machine, we're just going to pull the foot towards me, so pop it off, and then we're going to push it on and pop it back on. So now the needle needs to go in that little hole that's right there, so it's definitely in the right position. First I'm going to sew the left side of the zipper, so I want to take my needle position and I want to bring it over to the left just a little bit, so that way I can get as close to those zipper teeth as possible. So we have the two grooves on the bottom of the foot, and I'm first going to be putting the zipper teeth in the groove on the left. So now that I have my needle position moved over to the left, I'm going to be using the groove on the left here for the teeth on the left side of my zipper. They're going to glide right into that little opening right there. So I have the right side of the zipper on the right side of the fabric. My zipper tape is towards the edge of the fabric. My zipper teeth is towards the inside of my project. I've got my zipper teeth here and I'm going to put them in the groove here on the left. And I've made sure that my needle position is moved over to the left a few millimeters as well. Now when I sew this, I'm going to hold the zipper tape down with my right hand, and I'm going to open up these zipper teeth. I'm going to pull them over to the left so they move, so they roll. So we're going to roll them open to the left. Make sure you're fixing or back stitching. Continue. And just make sure these teeth are nice and open as they're going into the foot. The nice thing about this zipper foot is that it does pull these zipper teeth back to the left and roll them open as it's sewing. You're only going to be able to sew so far, so when you get to the zipper pull, just back stitch and stop. Cut your thread and pull out your zipper. Now that we have one side sewn up, let's take a look at it. Zip it up and check out how invisible it is. So you can see our stitches are way under here. If I roll back the teeth, they're hiding, which means we're gonna have a really nice invisible zipper. So if we zip up this half and we flip it over, you can see how my fabric is going directly to center on the zipper, which is excellent. So now what we're gonna do is the other side. So we are going to make sure our fabric is right side face up. We're gonna unzip our zipper and then we're gonna flip it over so that the right side of the zipper is on the right side of the fabric. And now we're gonna move our needle position over to the right so that way we can sew the right side of the zipper. Now we're gonna be putting the zipper teeth in the little groove on the right hand side of this foot. I've also moved my needle 2 millimeters over to the right. Don't forget the back stitch or fix. Make sure your zipper tape is all the way over to the edge of your fabric. When you get to the bottom, back stitch and cut. Now that we have both sides sewn up right next to zipper teeth, we are gonna zip it up and check this out. Our zipper is beautifully invisible. Remember how bright orange that zipper was? It is not showing through this seam at all, which means we have a perfect invisible zipper. And all we can see is the little zipper tab here at the top, which is great. That is exactly what you wanna see for your zipper. That is it. But we still have this big opening down here. So what we need to do is close this up. So we're gonna grab our all-purpose zipper foot, or if you have a narrow foot, you can grab that as well. And we wanna place our right sides together, and then we're gonna start sewing where we left off here. Come up a 1/2 inch into that seam, so that way you don't end up with a hole there. Move your needle position all the way over, so that way you can get real close to it. Keep your zipper tail out of the way, and then you're gonna sew all the way down. So let's do it. So I have my all-purpose zipper foot on, which is the E foot. I have my needle position moved all the way over to the right, and now I can get really close to that zipper and that seam that I'd left off on before. So I'm 1/2 inch up into the seam. I'm gonna put down my foot, keep everything out of the way. I'm going to be using the fix button. You can use the back stitch as well. Come forward, keep that out of the way, and then continue your seam. Back stitch at the end and cut. So we have one last step. We need to sew down these zipper tails here so that way we don't get any holes at the bottom of our zipper. So I'm gonna leave on my all-purpose zipper foot. I'm gonna clip it on the left-hand side, move my needle position over to the left, and now I'm gonna sew them down to just the seam allowance. So I'm not sewing through to the front of my project. So we're just gonna back stitch or fix here, and we're just gonna back stitch again at the end of the tail and cut. Now I'm gonna flip it around to the other side and make sure that I'm just sewing through the seam allowance. We're gonna back stitch at the end and up about 1 inch into the tail and then cut. So now those tails are nice and secure and they're on our seam allowance. So if we open it up, it is not showing through to the front of our project. We have completed the invisible zipper. It was so easy using that invisible zipper foot. So let's take a look at our work and go over in detail what we just did. So you'll notice that we have a seam here and there's a zipper in it. And it is beautiful at the bottom. There's no weird bubbles or bumps or puckers. So that's really important to have a great zipper. And when we unzip it, you now know that we have a zipper there. But when we zip it up, it is so smooth and nice and invisible. From the back on the inside of the project, your invisible zipper is going to look like this. So you'll notice that it actually has teeth on the back of it that are visible. So the invisible zipper has teeth on the back and the regular zipper has no teeth on the back. It has its teeth on the front. And it's also really important to make sure that you sew down these little tails right here because it takes all the pressure off the bottom opening of the zipper. You'll notice a lot of projects get holes right there, and that's because all the pressure is going there and not over to the side on the seam allowance. So that is one last final step and a really great tip in detail to having a perfect zipper that lasts a long time. Thanks so much for watching Sew Anastasia today and how to use the invisible zipper foot and sew a perfect invisible zipper. I hope you found all the tips and little tricks very helpful, so that way you have perfect invisible zippers coming out on all of your projects. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I will get back with you as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, give it some applause, and leave a comment down below. I'd love to know what you think about it, or if you have any additional tips or tricks to add to sewing a perfect invisible zipper. I would love to hear about them. And if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you subscribe to Sew Anastasia so you can check out all my sewing videos that come out every single week. And I'd love to stay connected with you on all the other social media channels like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, because every single day I'm always putting out sewing content. I just love sewing so much. So let's stay connected and creative together. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. Iris says bye-bye too.